welcome back to Music Talk. I'm Dave.
I'm Mike.
That's Mike.
Yep.
In this review, we're going to talk about Joe Lynn Turner. And this new album is called Belly of the Beast.
Yep.
And so there's nothing on the inside, it's all black. So on the back, you got the track listing, and it's a decent album cover. I mean, it's kind of creepy, but it's cool all at the same time. So this was pretty shocking for me. I mean, I saw these pictures before the record came out, and I was like, "Is that Joe Lynn Turner?" I'm not sure. That's what he looks like now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
So
he came out with everybody's claiming it's a disease. It's just I don't know, maybe he has some kind of disease. All I know is I didn't have a disease and I lost my hair.
yeah, well, I mean, he's been like this since he was 14, though.
Yeah,
So he's been wearing a wig since he was 14.
right.
So he's got some kind of thing. I don't know what it is. I didn't get
Yeah,
into it. I just thought it was weird. So I think this is the first time in his career that he's actually pulled the wig off.
yeah, he
It's
just
kind of
came out about
shocking to people, I think, maybe.
yeah.
Um, here's what the CD looks like. JLT, not bad. And then, on the inside, you got some more pictures. You got his little serpent there, and all this words are in here, and then a couple of, you know, cool little pictures there of him, I suppose. There he is in his leather jacket. And what's up? There he is. So he's like 73 now, which I was surprised. I didn't realize he was that old.
Wow. I
But,
didn't know.
I guess because I'm getting old, I'm not realizing how old people are.
Well, you're older than I am. Shit. Now I'm older than dirt.
But yeah, anyway. So Joe Lynn Turner's a funny thing, man, because I always used to crap on him a little bit, and it wasn't that I crapped on him. It's kind of like I talked about in the Queensryche review, where you get used to a band that has a singer and it's hard for you to like the next guy, right? So Joe, I never really gave him much time. And when Rainbow started doing stuff with him, I just kind of didn't listen to Rainbow that much anymore because I was like, I mean, they don't have Ronnie James Dio. So, I mean, I'd rather follow Ronnie. It
Hey,
was weird because, everybody always used to talk about Ronnie versus Joe Lynn Turner and all that. And I probably fell into that category a little bit, even though I really didn't care one way or the other. I just preferred Ronnie. But even Joe said something about uh, him and Ronnie were friends. He said they used to sit back and joke, and he would joke on Joe Lynn Turner's love songs, and Joe Lynn Turner would joke on Ronnie James Dio about his Dungeons and Dragons songs. So he used to kid around all the time.
yep,
But you
yep.
got to hand it to Joe Lynn Turner, man, because the guy has played in some bands with some big ego guitar players. I
Yeah.
mean, you think about the guys he's played with. He's played with Blackmore. He's played with freaking Yngwie Malmsteen. I mean, you know, he's probably the biggest egotistical guitar player out there, right? I mean, so they say.
Oh, which one?
Yeah,
Blackmore or Ingve?
take your pick, right? Take your pick.
Exactly.
Y'all, I'll let y'all choose that. Y'all write down in the comments which one you think I was talking about.
Yeah.
so, so anyway, so yeah, I mean, I kind of didn't really pay much attention to Joe Lynn Turner. I mean, he did come into bands where he already had great singers, so he's kind of filling in. I mean, you think of Rainbow, they had Ronnie James Dio, then they had Graham Bonnet, and then they had Joe Lynn Turner, right? So then he goes over and starts singing with Deep Purple, who had Ian Gillan, and then he sings with Yngwie, and Yngwie had Jeff Scott Soto. So I mean, there's a lot of singers that he's he's coming in and singing for. And the one thing I will give him, even though I really didn't follow him much, but he never tried to sound like those guys, right? He always did the songs his way. So, which I give him props for that. And now going back and listening to some of his older stuff, I probably should have listened more because I went back and listened to some of the Rainbow stuff that he did. And, Straight Between the Eyes was a great record. And I never really bought it or anything because it didn't have Ronnie,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, see, the thing with me about Rainbow, I always kind of put them on the back burner. because they were a derivative of actually Deep Purple
Yeah.
kind of splitting up.
Yeah.
They were a circumstance that happened, and which Richie Blackmore, it was his band,
Yeah.
and
It even said so on the title.
yeah,
Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
I don't know, when you, I don't know, maybe I'm just an old boomer or whatever you want to call me. I don't care, but when you've got a band as great as Deep Purple was during their heyday, Fireball and Machine Head and stuff like that,
In
you know,
rock. Yeah.
made in Japan,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, then all of a sudden things start going haywire.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they brought in Glenn Hughes, and people like that for Deep Purple.
Yeah.
It wasn't Deep Purple,
Mm-mm.
no more. It
Nope.
was a souped up trapeze, you
Yeah.
know. And don't get me wrong, I love Glenn Hughes, and I love the stuff he's been doing here the past 10 years, I mean, my God,
Yeah.
Black Country Communion and Dead Daisies and, all that stuff. I mean, that's all great.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to sit and listen to Deep Purple stuff without Ian Gillan singing.
It is. And, that was tough when you had Coverdale and Glenn Hughes.
Hmm.
Then you had Joe Lynn Turner on one,
Right.
right? So, and then of course Gillen comes back and he's in and out the whole time, you know. So, and that's a tough thing, man, because I mean, so at one point, Joe Lynn Turner was looking for a band, and he was practicing with Foreigner for 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and then he got a call saying Bad Company was looking for a singer. So then he went to go. He was going to go do Bad Company, and got a call from Deep Purple. And he's like, it's great to be me. I've got Foreigner, Bad Company, and Deep Purple wanting me to come sing for him. So of course, he was familiar with Roger Glover and all them guys because he played with them in Rainbow some. So he went with Deep Purple. And by the way, if you listen to what Ian Pace says about that album, which was Slaves and Masters,
Right.
Ian Pace said if it wasn't for Joe Lynn Turner, the album would have never made it because Blackmore was out screwing around all the time. Everybody else was out screwing around, and Joe Lynn Turner was like, "Listen, you guys need to get in here. Let's do this record." So
Right.
it probably would have never turned out if it wasn't for Joe Lynn Turner.
Right. Right.
So he
Well,
they Ian Pace credited him a lot for that record. So
it's probably a good thing he didn't do the Bad Company thing because I'm gonna tell you what, I just can't see Joe Lynn Turner sounding like Paul Rogers. Yeah.
no, but they had another singer at the time, and I can't
No,
think of his name, and
he didn't sound like Paul
he
Rogers.
didn't. Yeah, he sure didn't. I don't even remember who it was now, but
I think it was at the time Paul Rogers was touring with Queen. Actually,
no, it was actually before that. It was back
was
kind
it
of like when
before
he was with the Firm
that?
with
Okay, yeah,
Page,
yeah.
sometime in that era.
Which is why Simon Kurt put Lone Rider together.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a great record that we reviewed not long ago. So, and a couple in the past. So
Right.
anyway, so yeah, I mean, I kind of wish I wouldn't have been so hard on Joe Lynn Turner in the past because I think some of his stuff was a lot better than I thought it was. I mean, even with Ingve was good, he was. I went and listened to the Slaves and Masters album, and there's like 5 good songs on there, great songs, deep purplish songs. You know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
of them are kind of weird, cheesy, but those 4 or 5 on that record, man, or you could tell they're Deep Purple, and Joe kills it. He's not trying to sound like Ian Gillan, but man, he kills it, and they're really great songs. So anyway,
Yeah, it's and I think more and more is coming to reality that you can't identify bands anymore by the musicians in the band.
no,
I mean, those days are long gone. It's
yeah,
just like, okay,
well,
with the Beatles,
for
you
fans
lose a
we like,
member, well, then you don't have the Beatles. I'm sorry, it's not the Beatles without all 4 of them.
yeah,
And George Martin, the fifth Beatle. I mean, sorry, I mean,
yeah,
that stuff they did with what's his name? the Psycho. Oh God. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So
the whole thing is like Joe Lynn Turner. Listening to him on this album here, I've actually got it down here in my notes. He's in good voice. He's a great vocalist.
he still can sing at 73
Yes.
years old, man. It's like, wow. It wasn't quite what I expected,
No.
but his voice really was good. And there's a few songs that were actually like what I thought he would still sound like.
Yeah.
Real quick,
Black.
before
Yeah.
we get into it, he mentioned something in an interview, and I don't know if you watched any of the interviews with him or not, but he was talking about Rainbow was going to do a reunion, and they were going to bring everybody. They were going to bring Graham Bonnet back. They were going to have Blackmore. At the time, they were trying to get Cozy Powell, you know, um, and they even probably would have had Ronnie Romero, I believe, at the time. Which last time I saw Rainbow recently live any videos of them, they had a guy named Ronnie Romero, which we've talked about before.
Is Cozy even alive?
He's not now,
Yeah, I was going to say.
but at the time of the reunion, he was. So they were trying to get him to come back. So what happened was apparently Richie Blackmore's wife's mother is the manager of Richie Blackmore's music now. Blackmore's Night
Right.
and Rainbow. So they were saying that they didn't want Joe Lynn Turner to do it because they thought that he would make it all about him, which he wasn't going to do. So they said, there's no way Joe Lynn Turner is going to be on any Rainbow reunion. So he's like, whatever, dude. So he just kind of said, y'all just do whatever, and just forgot all about it. So I don't think the reunion ever happened, honestly.
No, I didn't.
But what a great reunion it would have been, though, to have all those Deep Purple members come in, and Ronnie Romero, which is a great singer, would have came in. Graham Bonnet, which the connection with Graham Bonnet, he sang with Alcatraz, who had Yngwie Malmsteen on guitar. So you got all these connections, right?
Yep,
So it's
yep.
really, really strange circle. So anyway, we'll get into the record real quick. I just wanted to bring up some of the stuff of the past with Joe Lynn Turner because, again, I felt a little guilty about not giving him his due back then. So I figure I better say it now. If I ever run across him, I could say, hey, man, sorry, I didn't give you your due, but I'm
Yeah.
giving it to you now. So the stuff that he did, I went back and I enjoyed. Um, Getting into this record, Belly of the Beast, an angry little record, man. I was very surprised by this record. It wasn't anything I thought it was going to be. You know, um, I didn't know that it was going to be so hard and heavy and dark.
Yeah.
Really,
To me, that was the first thing that struck me. I mean, I went through and listened to it a couple of times, and I was just shaking my head through a lot of the music. I mean,
yeah.
right off the bat, every song had this droning, buzzing guitar through the whole damn thing.
I
And
don't
I'm,
even know what you call that, but it
it,
was just noise, right?
yeah, yeah, it was noise
Drone.
in the background, and then on top of it, it just seems to me that this is one of those projects that was created during the whole COVID lockdown,
Yeah,
and everybody was angry.
yeah,
Everybody, you know. But I don't think that in the eyes of artists, and granted, you're not able to go out during a lockdown and make money and stuff, but that's not what being an artist is all about.
yeah.
And when you start delving into and believing the BS
Hmm.
all the way around and start writing music about it, then you're really targeting your market and you're turning a deaf ear to people that are willing to give
Yeah.
you the time of day to come through your door.
Yeah, I went through and looked at the lyrics, and there's like three songs on here that reference stuff like that.
Right.
And which whatever, the words are whatever. It's not,
Yeah, no,
it's a
it's
little late, I think, on some of it. I mean, he's always had some kind of gripe. On every album, you hear something about him griping of the times, sign of the times, or whatnot.
Right.
And this one has like 3 songs on there, and we'll talk about them as we go. Well, I'm not going to delve much into the meanings of what he's doing because I really don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's that to me. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's
So
all
my
coincidence.
problem with the record was one guy did everything
Yeah.
except for the drums,
Right.
and then they brought another guy in to do all the guitar solos. So it's weird. So the album was really done by Peter Tagrin,
Yep.
right? And his son Sebastian did all the drums.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had a
All,
guy named, I want to say it's Love Magnuson, but it could be pronounced some other way because they are Swedish. So
mm-hmm.
it's spelled Love. I don't know if you pronounce that some other way. Y'all can probably tell me in the comments how stupid I am to not be able to pronounce love or Juve or whatever it is. I don't know.
Right.
Um, so they have him credited for all the guitar solos.
Yeah.
So I guess he just came in, played 12 guitar solos, and left. I don't know.
The other thing that really turned me off too was, and this again is a telltale sign of it being a very small crew. It was just Joe Lynn Turner and Peter and like you
And his
say his
son,
son,
yeah,
and they put this whole thing together. And I mean, they got this gothic choir happening, and I
yeah,
got to tell you,
yeah. I got that written here. Gang vocal choir.
yeah, it's like I don't know, I mean,
It
Joe Lynn
ruined the record for
he's
me.
he's a better singer than that.
Yeah,
He could have put some vocal backgrounds together and made
much.
it happen.
Yeah, because even when you didn't have that, I, I want to say it was like a monks chanting almost and
Oh, it was
choir thing.
amongst yeah, it was amongst chanting, but it was also a materialistic gothic thing,
Yeah,
military type thing. And it's like, no,
but
I
even
mean,
when he didn't have the whole choir, he still had a weird backup vocal going with
yeah,
that same kind of like you're saying marching sound.
right,
Like
right.
it wasn't like 3 or 4 layered vocals. It was somebody in the background, drill sergeant type vocal.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It was like or whatever it was. I don't know. It kind of ruined the record for me because it happened on 90% of the
Yeah, 90
songs.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and
And the droning you were talking about is just about every song.
yeah,
Yep. And then
it,
you have the drummer who's like overplaying the whole time.
overplaying and full of triggers. I mean, it was all sound samples that you were hearing. It was not a live sound at all coming through. And I'm
So,
sorry, I'm not out here painting houses for a living and figured out a way to cheat my way through every one of them and charge top dollar.
mhm.
You know, I mean, the whole thing is it's like no, you're gonna sell me a product. Put the time in and make it sound like the product
Yeah,
that you're
and they
selling.
and they started this project 5 years ago, right? So
Yeah,
I don't know. I know they wrote songs 5 years ago for this record, but it sounds like they recorded it in like 3 days.
yeah. Well, that's giving them 24 more hours than I did.
And and the reason I say that is because out of 11 songs, at least 6 of them sound the same. They sound like identical. Like
Mhm.
you took one long song and chopped it into 6 songs because of the droning and the choir and the chanting and the blast drums and it just wasn't much change of sounds at all.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
was
if I
the
want to hear
same.
if I want to hear a choir like that, I'll listen to that Coca-Cola commercial. If you, I like to teach the world to sing,
Yeah,
you know,
with a good choir, you know.
in perfect harmony. I mean, I don't want to hear something that would back up the scene in like Lord of the Rings where they're pounding down the door of the castle there over a moat. I mean,
Yeah,
I especially during these times and during I mean, we're not too far out of the lockdown that we had here a year ago. Um, And there's a lot. I don't know. I just think that this approach was way out of bounds.
Well, to me, I was thinking that I was on a Viking boat rowing the whole time. That's the
Right.
sound I was getting.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, somebody up there beating the drum at the bow,
Yeah,
and somebody back behind them cracking a whip,
right. With the vocals that they were doing, they're like, "Grow."
It's like, yeah. It's like, come
So,
on.
but anyway, well, I'll break it down real quick because I did like a few songs on here. There are some that I did like. So it starts
Yeah.
out with "Belly of the Beast." It's a heavier song. Got that driving double bass. I mean, I guess it's a good opener if you just want to smack somebody in the face, you know. So, um, I I thought it was a good vocal, but it wasn't what I was expecting from Joe Lynn Turner right off the bat. I mean, you got that all the stuff we were talking about, the droning, the over drumming. You don't really hear bass much in it because the same guy's doing everything, so he's just only bringing to the front what he wants you to hear, right?
Right. Right.
So, I mean, I thought it was okay. It was a good opener, but it would have been okay if it would have changed after that. So the next song you get is Black Sun. Starts out with a nice organ intro, kind of sounds a little deep purplish,
Deep
but
Purple Rainbow, I
but a
mean,
lot heavier guitar.
yeah. Well,
The
to
guitar was
me,
way heavy. So
way too compressed and trying to be too heavy is what I've got my notes written down.
yeah,
It's like just try. It's like
but I
God,
I
you
thought the
can't
riff
man
was it would have
you,
been great if he would have laid back, right?
you can't manufacture heavy.
Mm-mm.
You
Yeah.
can't do it. I mean, it's either in the song or it's not. You don't sit there and force feed it and well, okay, turn up the compression and so all you wind up with is a bag of noise.
If you would have took this song and took a Strat and plugged it into a Marshall just with a chord, you would have had a Deep Purple sounding song.
Oh yeah.
But with all the stuff that he layered on top of all that to make it sound the way it did, it was just too much for me. But it was another great vocal,
Hmm.
lead vocal. You're getting that chanting going on and stuff in the back. But I really like this song. I think it was one of the better ones on the record, Black Sun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we get the Tortured Soul, starts out slow, and then all of a sudden it's a blast beat again in the pre-chorus, and then from there on is doing the same thing that you were hearing in the first song.
Yeah. I didn't even put any notes down by it. I don't even think I listened to the whole song.
And then we get to Rise Up, and it's that again heavy marching sound,
Yep.
droning, all that mess that we've talked about. This is part of those 6 or 7 that all sound the same.
Yep.
Uh, so of course, that was his little anthem for freedom, I guess. Rise up, whatever. Um,
Well,
and we should all rise up, right? We all should take a stand. So, but anyway, we'll go on. Number 5, probably one of my favorite songs on the record, and this is "Dark Night of the Soul," which I thought actually like this one because it's slower and it
yeah.
breathes a little. You can
Yep.
actually hear some of the vocal work, and the drums were not so overbearing. You know,
And it didn't have the guitar droning.
right? And that's why I felt like it was breathing because
Right.
it wasn't all this crap going around and swirling through your head.
Yeah.
And
I felt like
this
you
was
got
actually about a heart attack that he had, and it was a near death experience, is what this song's about.
hmm.
So that's what he was saying in the interview. So then we get to Tears of Blood. And this one I just have sounds just like the other ones.
I just put okay.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it sounds just like the other 5 or 6 that we've talked about.
Yep.
Um, then we got Desire, which is another one I like. And this one sounded like Rainbow to me, except for it had that crazy double bass again, and then the backup vocals were terrible. And
Real
it sounded,
military, real military feel to it.
yeah, but the riff sounded like Rainbow when it started. And I was like, man, we're going to get a good one. And then I thought the drums were too much on it. And then it
Yep.
sounded a little bit like an Ozzy song, the music did,
Yeah.
like an
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne song or something. But the vocals were good. Um, then number 8, Don't Fear the Dark. This one he talks about embracing your dark side, whatever.
Sound like Ronnie Dio to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good rocker,
Yeah.
but very compressed guitars. I mean, they were just like there's no dynamics at all. It was just all me. It's like
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
he was talking about the darker stuff, like you said, is kind of like a Ronnie James Dio thing. He kind of, I guess he wanted to pull some of that out.
Mhm.
I don't know. I kind of, it sounds to me like some of the earlier stuff because the guitar didn't do anything different. Same old sound. Number 9, Fallen World, kind of, I like the way he sings this one, but I didn't really like the song that much. I thought the way his vocal cadence was good, but then, I don't know. The song is basically about how screwed up we are
I
as
had
a,
no
as a world.
I had no comments written down by it. I mean, I'm getting to, I mean, and not just this album. I'm getting to where I'm not listening to any of that kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, we got enough division in this world. We don't need to be
yeah,
on spending money on it just to hear it. I mean,
yeah. I think this one here he's talking about everybody's just screwed up. That's why
yeah.
the
Well,
world's
I
small.
agree. I
But
agree with that.
thanks a lot, Joe, for reminding me how screwed up we are.
I mean, I agree with that. But
Yeah,
the thing is, you keep driving that point home, and people keep
they
living
keep doing
that
it.
way.
I
I
know
mean,
exactly. Yep.
nobody has a fresh thought there, and unfortunately, people tend to be followers pretty
Yeah.
much. You know,
Right.
you
Exactly.
listen to somebody that you want to show respect to and look at as far as entertainment. That's a big mouthpiece,
Yep.
and I mean, there you go.
So then we get to number 10, Living the Dream. And this one here is kind of a jab at fame and fortune. He kind of talked about how, he always wanted to be a celebrity, how people want to be famous and to be a celebrity. And then they find out it ain't what it's all cracked up to be. That's what this one was. And then, you know, this one, Living the Dream, number 5, and number 11, which is Requiem, last song on the album. Those are 3 songs that actually I felt like sounded more like what I would expected of Joe Lynn Turner to sound.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. The
yeah,
other stuff was just too heavy for me, like more of a darker metal that I wasn't expecting from him. Which
yeah.
Requiem I liked because it actually had a groove to it. This one had a bass groove. So
I had some thoughts on the collaboration, and I'm not going to embellish on any of that right now. I mean, we could talk later, but I don't. To me, the album was too much of the tried and true. Could do without the Gothic choir.
yeah, the,
Uh,
you know how I feel about gang vocals. I talk about it all the time.
yeah.
This album was full of it. Just
Well,
choir gang vocals. It was terrible.
yeah. I don't know. It just God, Rival Sons. They did that on that album. They had
Yeah, that one
uh,
choir song.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, to me, it was a filled hollow. That's what they call them.
yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I think in this day and time, there are some things that are better left in history and
Yeah.
not brought back up. I mean, um,
I don't really have a lot on this record as far as great to say. Um, I'll say that Joe Lynn Turner's voice was a highlight of the whole record.
he's in
I,
good voice.
I think he's done well. This album, if nothing else, it actually brought me to appreciate Joe more, especially going back and listening to his other stuff. You
I
know,
just I hope it wasn't a major investment on his part
yeah.
because I really feel like personally, if it had been me doing this and I heard this finished product, I would have thrown it right back into the producer's face and gone, you know what? I'm not paying for this.
You know what this reminds me of is, and not the music itself, but the way it was done. It reminded me of the Marcus King album we did. where that guy from the Black Keys produced it
Yeah.
and did all the stuff in there. So you had one guy's opinion and did all this stuff, and then he brings in a singer, guitar player, whatever the case may be. In this case, Joe Lynn Turner, and just sing to these songs is kind of what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really, to me, it didn't feel like a Joe Lynn Turner album. It felt like a, a Peter Tagrin album with Joe Lynn Turner singing on it.
Well, some of it makes me wonder. I don't know. I mean, this is just a fleeting thought. I welcome criticism or whatever, as far as where my train of thought is going or whatever. I don't know. I mean, but to me, I'm looking at it like, why didn't he have other people on the album?
That was my question too.
And
I mean, you could have brought
was
in
it was it
Roger
was it
Glover, Ian
was it
Pace.
was it the material,
I don't know.
or was it or was it this lockdown syndrome of, just putting yourself in a cocoon and not wanting to let anybody inside, and this is what you get, you
I
know?
don't know, but I honestly hope this isn't like where he's planning to be in the future.
I hope not too, because the guy's a talented singer,
Yeah,
and I really feel like that. I'm amazed that he let this pass. Number
yeah.
one. Number two, I don't know what this Peter and his son was doing. Um, I don't know.
Mm,
I have no idea who these people are.
yeah,
Never heard of them before.
yeah.
Um,
Now I know he said he wanted to go out and put out a hard rock and symphonic type metal record, but I mean, I don't think he accomplished it with just one guy.
no.
I mean, it sounds like to me, I don't know. It was just kind of, it was just monotonal. The guitars were all the same. You had the same guy coming in doing all the guitar solos, you know, kind of like an Ingve-ish kind of guitar guy comes
Yep.
in, rips these solos out. There's no feeling there. It's just all drudging, droning noise to me. So I don't
So
know.
I don't. Yeah. I mean,
I
more
really,
power. More power to people that can hammer out more than 16th notes per measure and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
power to you. But you know what? I want to hear more in pentatonic and diatonic scales and the major and minor scales. I need to hear. I need to hear some music. I don't want to hear a droning guitar in the background that
yeah, the
gives me
whole
a
time.
migraine while I'm trying to listen to a song.
It
Uh,
takes away from what the song is.
right.
So,
Fills up all the empty space, doesn't let anything breathe. You
no,
can't even tell what the tone of the drums are.
or the bass.
Yeah. I mean, it's all super compressed.
Mm,
The only thing that actually shined through was Joe's voice.
yeah, it's true. Absolutely true.
And I'm sorry, I mean, the meaning of these songs just
Yeah, a
I
few.
understand them. I understand them, but I just think it's bad timing. I
Yeah, a
really
few of them are definitely a dollar or two late, right? A
Yeah,
dollar short,
right.
day late, and a dollar short, I guess.
Yep. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I don't know. But
yeah,
I mean, as far as rating the album, I,
I
I
want
don't,
to give it a 666 is what I'm giving it, a 6.66 because it's such a dark album.
well, yeah. I mean, it's being
That's
pretty
it.
generous as to where I'm thinking of.
I know, but I just thought the 666 was kind of
I'm sitting
comical.
on, I'm sitting on a nickel with my feet dangling.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give it a 6-1. I'm thinking 6-1 because I like Joe so much. And there are 3 or 4 songs that I could, get into pretty good. The
Well,
reason that
yeah. Go ahead.
the other 7 sound the same. So
Well, to me, the overall production is what ruined it.
yeah,
I think you can take bad lyrics and really sell them if you've got a good production behind you.
yeah.
Um,
But the
again,
album
though,
cover's
I mean,
cool.
But to me, I didn't have anything to really listen to because it was hard to listen to it, and the only thing I could discern was his vocals,
Yeah.
which led me to the fact of listening to the lyrics, and
Yeah.
which led me down a dark road, and I don't like it.
Yeah. I know.
So
Yeah, it was a
you know,
very weird record, man.
yeah, I'm gonna go 4.5, and that's about the best I can do with it.
4.5. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean, it was not what I expected. I was hoping for more. I was
yeah,
hoping for more of a rainbowish, deep purple sounding record. I
yeah.
wasn't expecting to hear, this, you know.
Well, to me, here's the thing. All right, look at me. I've been dealing with music, as far as playing live and everything else for about 51 years,
Yeah.
52 years.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to pull anybody's chain and go, hey, I can hop out there and hop on stage with these 23 and 25-year-olds and blend in what these Zoomers are doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to even pretend to be able to do that.
Right.
I have something to offer in that field,
Yeah.
but I am not going to sound like this.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
I
not
don't.
going to do. I'm not going to do this. You want me to play for you? Well, I'm going to give you my interpretation. I'm going to guarantee you right now, it's going to be all about drum tone, and it's not going to be about 1,000 licks per second.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if they would have only had one or two like that, I could have got through it better. But every song
Yeah.
was the same. I mean, like I said, with the exception of three or four, that you didn't have that going on. So,
Right.
I mean, I guess it's what he was looking for, I suppose. I don't know.
Uh,
I, I
maybe,
think
maybe
it was more of a Peter Tackren album than it was a Joe Lynn Turner,
I
you
do
know?
too. I think it was. I think it was his. I think he was selling his ability,
Yeah.
and he was
And
selling his son's ability,
yeah.
and
And you got
and
that Swedish stuff, that's where you're getting all that, marching sounding choir stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Lord
Anyway,
of the Lord of the Rings was done 14, 15 years ago.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they
it's not
haven't
that
they
not
have a
not that it's
spinoff
done.
now. So
Yeah.
we need some more music for the spinoff.
Let's keep it for the soundtrack.
Rings of Power, right? Yeah. We'll hear the Rings of Power and we'll be like, wow, that's pretty cool.
I'll, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to let it go at that. I gave it a 6-1. Mike gave it a 4-5. Joe Lynn Turner, Belly of the Beast. Y'all check it out. Let us know what you think. Album cover's pretty all right, I think. It's weird, but I've seen worse.
Come on, Joe. You got it in you, man. I
Yeah.
mean, love your voice.
I've even seen some of the live stuff he's done in the last year, and his voice is back to sounding like Joe sounds.
Yeah.
So I don't know what his I don't know what his goal was on this one, but
Well,
anyway, I respect you more, Joe. After going back into your library, I don't know about this record so much, but I do respect what you did in the past, which I never did before. So now I'm
yeah.
giving you
Yeah.
props for what you did back then.
Yeah.
This one here, I'm just giving you what I think about this one, which I gave you higher than probably I should have. A 6-1.
Well,
you know. But
I'm just,
some people might like this. I mean, this may be their style. If you're into this harder, heavy, dark metal, this may be what they're looking for. So
I don't know. It's got to be some dynamics in there,
yeah,
and you have to break the drone up in the background. And
yeah,
I don't know if I can really say that I blame Joe Lynn Turner for that,
yeah.
although he's the one that his name is on the product.
That's right. Yeah,
But it was only him and two other people.
yeah.
So,
So yeah, that's what you get. Yes, right. So all right. Well, until next time, y'all stay safe.
and peace out and listen to the music.
There it is.